Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and to another video. In my last video I set up my very first reading journal, I'll link that for you above if you haven't seen it yet. And today I am doing my very first book review spread. And the books I'm reviewing today are Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. So if you haven't read these books yet and you still want to, then maybe save this video for later because I will be talking about the story. So, spoiler warning. So for the voiceover of this video, I will be trying to simultaneously discuss my thoughts about the books and also take you through the process of making this spread, so we'll see how that goes. But I got into the whole Grisha-verse stories after watching the Netflix show Shadow and Bone, which combines the Six of Crows duology and the Shadow and Bone series, both by Leigh Bardugo. And I really love the show, and especially the crow characters. And so while I know it isn't recommended, I think, to start reading the Six of Crows duology, I think you should start with the Shadow and Bone series, but I really just like the characters a lot more, so I wanted to start with this. But I will be reading the Shadow and Bone trilogy next. My package with the books actually arrived here yesterday, so I'll be getting on that soon. But let's take a moment to talk about what I'm doing for the spread now. I started off by gluing in the two book covers in the middle of the spread, slightly offset, and then added the titles next to them. And I tried to replicate the lettering style that they have on the covers of the books, and I think it worked fairly well, and I like how it looks in the middle of the spread. Design-wise, I'm going for a scrapbooking, collaging type of look. So I printed out a couple of stock photos that kind of have the vibes that these books have for me. For example, I printed out some photos of old cities, of canals and streets that represent Ketterdam. And in the lower right corner you can see me cutting out a ship, which is for their journey to Fjärda, and of course some pictures of crows. And I just cut out and ripped up and layered these pictures in the corners to decorate. And what I'm doing here is I'm cutting out my own illustrations of the 6 main characters of the books, the crows, which I did with my iPad on Procreate. And basically I just did some line art based on pictures from the Shadow and Bone series, because every single crow except Wylan is in the show already, so I used that as a reference. And then for Wylan I just used a random picture of a man for the line art and added some curly hair, a bag and a bomb in his hand, and there you go, you have a Wylan. And then I just printed all of that out on some black paper because I thought white line art on black paper would match the whole vibe of the spread better, and glued them all next to each other at the bottom of the spread. On the right side I also added some of my favorite quotes from the 2 books, which you'll see in a close-up later. Then I added some boxes in which I'm going to put different aspects of my review of the books, and then I'm going ahead and adding one doodle for each of the characters. So I did Kaz's cane, one of Inej's knives, a bomb for Wylan, one of Jasper's revolvers, and then for Nina I am drawing a heart because she's a heart render, and for Matthias I'm doing a wolf's paw print. In a lot of other people's reading journals, I've seen that they do review spreads like this and then they leave a whole bunch of blank space in the middle or something, and then they write a whole text about their thoughts about the book that they read. But I really didn't want to do that, so instead I just made these little boxes that you can see all over, and I added different categories. Like for example on the left I'm doing what I liked and what I disliked about the books, and I'm just going to put my thoughts in there in the form of bullet points so I don't have to write a whole text. What I'm also doing in one of the other boxes is what I called crow ranking. I'm ranking my favorite characters from the books, and I know a lot of people are gonna disagree with me on this because all of the characters are very beloved by fans of the books, and honestly I think my ranking has already changed in the time from making this spread and doing this voiceover right now, because in the spread I put Jesper as my favorite character and I do really like him, but looking back on the reading process, I realized that I always liked Kaz's chapters the best, because in his chapters you can kind of see a little bit more of the plan of the heists and all of that stuff, and to see a little bit more what's going on. And also I think he has the best quotes. He's just very dramatic and I really enjoyed that. But in general I really liked all the characters and I was impressed by the dimensions and layers they had. So even if the character I put last on my ranking is your favorite character, please don't come for me in the comments. Speaking of what I liked about the books, I gave them both 5 stars, by the way, because I was really impressed with the characters, as I mentioned, and also the story. I love a good heist story. I also very much liked Leigh Bardugo's writing style, and that she used different point of view chapters, so you can kind of get to know each character a lot better. With the characters themselves, I really liked how diverse they are. We have a queer romance, which is great, which is also my favorite pairing in the show, which is also one of the boxes I put right at the top. My favorite romance is Jesper and Wylan, and but all the other romances were great too, and I like that they weren't the sole focus and that the friendship between the characters and the whole adventure they're going on is more important than that. And of course the setting is great. Catadam is described so, well, not nice, but it's a very fantasy-like setting and I really enjoyed that. And of course one of my favorite things about both books were the plot twists. But overall I think I liked the first book, Six of Crows, a little bit better than Crooked Kingdom, but I gave them both 5 stars because it was just such a tiny little bit that I couldn't bear to give Crooked Kingdom only 4 stars. So just a little side note, Six of Crows is a little bit better in my opinion, but both are great books. One thing I disliked about the books though that I wanted to mention is that in my opinion the characters are a little bit too young. They're supposed to be 16 and 17, and just from the experiences that they've had and the way they talk and act, I just think it would have made more sense if they'd be in their early or mid-20s. So that was just a little thing I stumbled over when reading the books, but I think in the show they actually aged them up quite a bit, which I like, because I think it just makes more sense. But we are already at the end of this video and here are the close-ups I promised. I guess I did have a lot to say about the books, mostly good stuff. I loved reading the books and I also loved making this spread. It was a lot of fun. And I can't wait for the next season of Shadow and Bone and to read a few more of the Grishaverse books by Leigh Bardugo. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video and this spread as well, make sure to give it a thumbs up, comment your thoughts on the books down below, maybe hit that subscribe button, and of course, come back for my next video. I'll see you there. Bye!